Alright, so previously we've finished off with the tooltip and toolbar setting customization. In this video, we're going to be going through the node category-based customization. So it allows you to define how each individual category is going to look like and how you can apply these settings for those nodes. As always, within the sample report, you have a pre-built variation of this, but we're going to go through the training view and actually build one ourselves. So first things first, we're going to add the chart. We're going to resize it a bit so that the nodes have more room. And we're also going to disable the background and the title. Now, as far as the setup goes, we're going to use source, target, and also the value. There we go. And another thing that I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to find source category class and use the legends column in it. The reason for that is because I'm going to essentially apply 3 different categories for the nodes. Now, the other thing we need to do here is find also target node class, because that allows me to have 3 categories across the board. There we go. Now that we have these 3 categories available, we can go into the formatting options. Let's open that up and scroll down a bit more. Here, you can see we have 3 node categories. Once you open up or enable that particular category, you can start to customize this category and nothing else. For example, first thing that you can do here is define the category name. Now, when you first look at the chart, you're like, what's going to be the reason for the category name? I don't even see it anywhere. Well, that is because the category name is used when you have legends enabled. So for example, right now, you can see category 1, which is the green one, has just a random name, category 1. That's it. Simple, efficient, but it's not really too intuitive. Now, if you want to change this to something else, you have a free text field where you can find whatever you want. So there you go. And you can do this for every single category. Now, I'm going to delete this because I just want to have this one right here, and I don't need the legends anymore. So it's kind of redundant at this point. Now, going forward, we have additional settings. Things like node type. By default, you're always going to be using shapes, but you can switch this to also be text. When you're using shapes, you can define the shape for that particular category. By default, it's always going to be circle. But the options you also have here are going to be rectangle, droplet, rhombus, or diamond. So for example, for category 1, we're actually going to leave it as default because we're going to be changing the type for it. So for this one, we're going to change it to text. So you can see this is how a text node looks like. Now, going forward, you have your coloring options. So you can have the color coming dynamically from the table itself by providing the node source field. Or in this case, what you can also do is do it automatically, fixed, or no fill. Automatical means that it's actually happening right now. I had 3 different categories and the chart automatically assigned the color for each and every one of them. The fixed one allows me to specifically define what is going to be the color used for this group. So let's say change it to this one. There we go. Now, fill color opacity allows you to make the nodes transparent. Going forward, we have additional settings for the outline. Once you enable this, you can see that the things you can customize for the outline are going to be the type, color, opacity, and width. Now, the next setting is relative size. By default, every single node within the graph is using the same sizing mechanism. It's going to be based on the value. Now, enabling this allows you to resize the node. Instead of valuing all the categories and all the values within it, you're doing this on this particular category alone. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility. Now, going forward, you can see that because we enabled the relative sizing, I can also start to play around with min and max node radiuses, allowing me to choose what's going to happen with the nodes that have higher or smaller values. By default, makes sense, the highest valued node is going to be the biggest one. But if you want to have a reverse behavior, you can also do that. You can, for example, lower the max node radius to 10 and increase the min node radius to 100. So now, for example, nodes that have smaller values are actually bigger. Now, the last few settings that we have here are going to be the label format. This setting is available in this case because we're using text. So the node value and the name is positioned inside. And I can adjust the way it looks. So for example, right now we're using this one, name and the value in the brackets. But I can also say that I just want to have value, comma, name. So play around with these, see which one fits your use case, and go ahead and use that. The two last settings that we have here are going to be value decimals and display units. Value decimals allow you to define how many decimal numbers you're going to have in addition to the core number, plus the display unit allows you to define the shortening for it. Now, if we go, for example, and enable another category, which is going to be category 2, open up those settings, scroll down a bit more. Like I said, this also allows you to define the shape. For example, if you're using type shape. For the category 2, let's add droplets. There we go. You can see that instead of having just regular circle, now you have a droplet. And the difference between the text and the shape is also a little bit lower. It is right here. So previously, if you remember, we only had value format. That's because both labels were inside. Now that we're using shapes, we can actually position the value and the name label inside or outside, and we can mix and match these settings. So having these, you can also achieve more, and you can actually also enable custom inside labels. So this even allows you to define the fonts, the backgrounds, and everything for that particular category. All right, that's going to be it for the node category customization, and I'll see you in the next video.